Joining me now is best-selling author of groundbreaking works, The Madness of Crowds, The War on the West and The Strange Death of Europe, Douglas Murray. And Douglas, much of what we're seeing in France right now, you predicted with perfect clarity in your book, The Strange Death of Europe, and you wrote in The Spectator this week that despite what the left claims, it's not French racism that is the problem. It's a significant chunk of the non-integrated immigrant population that is the problem.
Yes, that's right. I mean, it gives me no pleasure to say this, but I've said this for many years, that there's a tendency to sort of say, why are people looting and burning and rioting and bombing and much more? And the easiest answer to that question in every Western democracy is, it must be something we've done. On this occasion, the police in France, in Nanterre, detained a 17-year-old joyrider driving dangerously on the streets when he shouldn't have even owned a car, let alone be driving one. And he tried to escape the police, and one of the policemen shot him. And you may agree or disagree with that as a tactic of policing, but the idea that as a result of that incident, there is any legitimate reason for people to set fire to the lobbies of libraries, to attack municipal buildings, to threaten the lives of the families of elected officials, to loot, rob, and smash up luxury goods stores. I don't see the connection. There's so many dupes and idiots in the West who always reach for this. There must be something they must be objecting to racism in the French police. What can we do about that? No, I'm afraid it's the same story across the West. There are a certain number of people who come to countries like Australia, France, Britain, America, who make no effort to integrate, and we blame ourselves. And then when they decide to go on a spate of shopping with violence, we say, yes, of course, it's a totally logical thing to object to perceived police racism by going and looting Louis Vuitton's handbag section. I think it's really pathetic. I'm amazed after all these years people are still making these arguments.
And they are still making them, including the BBC, who want to frame the violence and hostility as some sort of righteous reckoning. They had the headline, France riots fueled by everyday discrimination, and they claimed that last week, and perhaps for the very first time in their lives, troubled French youth made themselves heard. I mean, can you imagine, Douglas, the tone of the coverage if the violence and mayhem we saw was caused by radical right-wing youth, for example?
Oh, absolutely. Well, we know what would happen then. They'd all been, even if it was just anyone who was white, they'd have all been denounced as Nazis. In fact, when a few people in Liverpool objected to an attempted rape of a local girl, and some people in Liverpool earlier this year turned up and said they weren't hot with the attempted rape of a schoolgirl, almost all the media denounced the parents and others as right-wing racist Nazi groups, all those pathetic sort of so-called anti-Nazi groups who are desperate to find Nazis did their special smear job of smearing ordinary people. So we know that's what would happen. But oh no, this way round, it's making their voice heard. I mean, you and I, Rita, might think that there are other ways of making your voice heard. And in fact, there are. There are many, many ways to make your voice heard, none of which include looting, burning, and ransacking major cities. I think it's absolutely pathetic that people are still talking in these terms. It should be perfectly obvious by now, and I've said this very clearly for a long time. We have to be able to say, as countries, as Australia, France, Britain, you know, if you come here and you complain about it all the time and you don't like it and you think we're horrible and racist and you'd like to burn it down, we'd like you to leave. We don't want you here. You're not welcome. That's just not the deal. The deal is you came here because it's better than the country you were in before. So don't make it like the country you fled from. And almost no politician on the center or even on the right of politics has yet got the guts to actually do something along those lines. You know, there have been plenty of population transfers between North Africa and France before. I see no reason why there shouldn't be one now.